Hi there. This short supporting presentation is all about the SWUK Material Classification Protocol. We know there has been a lot of change lately, and this pack is here to give you clear, practical support for what is expected of you on site. Whether you are digging, classifying, or uploading photos, every step you take helps Thames Water stay compliant with legislation and protect the environment. It starts with good segregation and builds from there. We will keep it simple, no jargon, only what you need to do your job right and stay safe. Next, we will show you the process from start to finish.
Before a team even arrives on site, a desktop risk assessment will already have been carried out. This checks for any known risks nearby, like old petrol stations, landfills, or previous sample results. It is not the site classification itself, but it gives the team an early heads up that hazardous materials might be present. You will see this information on your PDA before starting the job. Once on site, the first job is to excavate and segregate the material into layers. That means separating the bituminous layer from the subbase. Segregation is essential. Without it, the next step, classification, cannot be done properly. After segregation, the team uses visual checks, smell, and sometimes testing to classify the materials. This is where we identify anything hazardous. Classification is a critical part of compliance and helps make sure waste is managed safely and legally. Once materials are segregated and classified, a small number of sites will be selected for sampling. These sample results are then clashed against the on-site classification completed by the dig team. If they match, it shows the process is working and we score positively for compliance. Every quarter, Thames Water reports our compliance performance to the Environment Agency. This reporting is based on how well our sample results match the on-site classifications. Good compliance means we can keep using the protocol. Poor compliance could force us back to WM3, which would cost the business over £100 million and risk shutting operations down entirely. This slide shows how the whole process fits together, and you, the dig team, are right at the centre of it. Every time you segregate and classify correctly, you protect the environment and directly drive Thames Water's compliance score. This is not about pressure, it is about giving you the tools and knowledge to do your job properly. We are here to support you every step of the way. If you'd like more time to read the slide, pause here. If not, let's move on.
Waste has a specific legal meaning. It is any substance or object you discard, intend to discard, or are required to discard. For us on site, it is simple. If it is leaving the site, it is waste. If it is staying here, it is not waste. Waste includes excavated material that is not going back where it came from, old assets you remove from the ground, and litter or rubbish like gloves, bottles, cans, or food wrappers. Things that are not waste include slabs, curbs, or other materials you put straight back in place, and any material you keep here to reuse on the same job. Reducing waste where possible is always best practice. Only remove from site what genuinely cannot be reused in the same location. If you'd like more time to read the slide, pause here. If not, let's move on. On the last slide, we looked at what waste is and how it's defined. Now we move to the first step you take on site under the protocol. Health and safety always comes first. If segregation makes the site unsafe or increases risk to the public, stop work and speak to your supervisor. If you have space to work safely and segregate correctly, this is where the protocol starts for you. Segregation. It's the most important step in getting the protocol right. Without good segregation, we can't do proper classification. Sampling can also be aborted if correct segregation hasn't happened. Under the protocol, you only need to separate the bituminous layer from the subbase. That's it. Later in this pack, we'll explain exactly what those terms mean. For now, if there is no bituminous layer, everything else is treated as subbase under the protocol. If slabs or curbs are being reused on site, they are not waste. You don't classify them, but keep them separate from the waste you're managing. And remember, take clear photos of your segregation before moving on. If you'd like more time to read the slide, pause here. If not, let's move on. On the last slide, we talked about segregation and how it's the first step in getting the protocol right. Now let's look at the two main material types you need to know under the protocol: the bituminous layer and the subbase. The bituminous layer means tarmac, also known as asphalt concrete. It's made of aggregate bonded with bitumen and is normally the road surface. Only tarmac counts as bituminous. If the surface is concrete, paving slabs, blocks or verge, it is not bituminous. The subbase is everything beneath the bituminous layer. If there is no bituminous layer at all, then under the protocol, everything else you excavate is treated as subbase. This includes concrete, slabs, soil or verge materials. If slabs or curbs are being reused on the same sites, they are not waste. Keep them separate from the waste pile, but you don't need to classify them. Knowing the difference between bituminous and subbase is important because you classify them separately on the form. Later in this pack, we'll walk through the questions for each layer. For now, remember, bituminous means tarmac only and everything else is subbase. If you'd like more time to read the slide, pause here. If not, let's move on. On the last slide, we looked at the difference between bituminous and subbase. Now we move to the next step, classification. This is where you identify whether each layer is hazardous or non-hazardous and record it accurately in the classification form in Salesforce. Getting this right is critical. It directly impacts Thames Water's compliance score. Poor performance could mean losing the ability to use the protocol and costs to the business that would shut us down operationally. The classification form is split into 3 sections. Question 1 is for asbestos. If you uncover an asset that looks like asbestos-containing material, see fibers, or suspect asbestos is present, even if intact, tick yes. The protocol stops, and you follow the asbestos process in full. No further classification is done on that job. Questions 2 and 3 are for the bituminous layer. Bituminous material is only tarmac. It is usually the surface layer, but not all surface layers are tarmac. Question 2 is a visual check for coal tar. Look for 3 clear signs: shiny binder, sticky texture, and strong creosote smell. All must be present to tick yes. If not, tick no. Question 3 is the PAK spray test. Use only on a dry, unmixed surface across the full depth of tarmac. Wait 5 minutes. Band 1 or 2 is yes. Band 3 to 6 is no. Use PAK spray to confirm your senses, not replace them. Questions 4 to 7 are for the subbase. Subbase is anything beneath the bituminous layer, or everything including the surface if there is no tarmac. Question 4. Unusual colors: black, orange, green, blue are yes. Normal grey or brown is no. Question 5. Water contamination. A rainbow or oily sheen is yes. Clean water or bubbles are no. Question 6. Unusual smells like gas, tar, bleach or garlic are yes. Question 7. Litmus test, used only to confirm what you've already seen or smelled. A reading of 1 to 4 or 10 to 14 is yes. 5 to 9 is no. If any question for a layer is yes, that layer is hazardous. Red. If all are no, it's non-hazardous. Green. Take clear photos before moving on. If unsure, stop and speak to your supervisor. Never guess. If you'd like more time to read the slide, pause here. If not,
Let's move on.
On the last slide, we covered how to classify materials on a standard excavation. Now let's look at how things change when a Vac Ex is in use. The key rule is simple. Thames Water only classifies the material we have physically handled. If we didn't dig it, we don't classify it. If there is a bituminous layer, our repair team removes it first. This layer must go onto plastic sheeting. The Vac Ex provider will then remove the subbase. Thames Water is responsible for classifying the bituminous layer only. That means answering question 1 for asbestos, then questions 2 and 3 for the bituminous classification. For questions 4 to 7, select NA because the subbase is not assessed by Thames Water. If there is no bituminous layer, for example, if the surface is verge, concrete or slabs, our repair team breaks and removes that top layer. For protocol purposes, we treat this as subbase. In that case, answer question 1 for asbestos, then complete questions 4 to 7 to classify the subbase. Questions 2 and 3 will be NA. The Vac Ex provider may then excavate further, but we do not classify anything they remove. At any stage, if you uncover an asset that looks asbestos encased, or you see fibres, even if it's intact, stop and tick yes to question 1. This stops the protocol, and you must follow Thames Water's internal asbestos procedure. This applies whether the asbestos is found during our excavation or during Vac Ex works. Over time, this process may be reviewed, but for now, the asbestos rules are absolute. They always take priority. The flowchart on the slide shows this step by step. Start by checking if there's a bituminous layer. If there is, remove it, classify it, and NA the subbase questions. If there isn't, break the surface, classify it as subbase, and NA the bituminous questions. In every case, asbestos stops the process. If you'd like more time to read the slide, pause here. If not, let's move on.
On the last slide, we saw how classification works with Vac Ex. Now, let's focus on asbestos. This is one of the few situations where the protocol stops immediately. Start every job by digging and segregating layers as normal. If, during excavation, you see what looks like asbestos pipework, sheeting, or fragments, or you spot fibres in the spoil, stop and tick yes to question 1 on the classification form. That's your trigger to stop using the protocol and follow Thames Water's internal asbestos process. Next, contact your supervisor straight away. Tell them you found suspected asbestos and that they need to arrange a collection through SWUK. Any asbestos assets you handle should be double-bagged. Where possible, keep the length under 3 meters so they can be moved safely. Once you've done this, you can complete your repair and fill out any required forms, but do not carry out further classification. SWUK aim to attend within 24 hours to collect all asbestos-affected material. This includes the bagged assets and any contaminated spoil left in the excavation. After the collection, the reinstatement team will be notified so they can backfill, reinstate, and clear the site. A few reminders. Asbestos rules apply even if the asset looks intact. If you are not sure whether something contains asbestos, treat it as if it does. Take a clear photo, stop work, and ask your supervisor. Never try to guess or test it yourself. Safety is the priority, and asbestos always overrides the protocol. If you'd like more time to review the slide, pause here. If not, let's move on. On the last slide, we looked at asbestos and how it stops the protocol. Now let's look at 2 supporting tools you might use during classification: pack spray and the litmus test. These are not decision makers. Always rely on your sight, smell, and touch first. Start with pack spray. Use it only on a dry, rough surface of the exposed bituminous layer. Smooth or wet areas will give unreliable results. Spray across the full depth of the tarmac and wait 5 minutes for the reaction to develop. Then check the color against the chart. If it matches band 1 or band 2, record your answer as yes, the material is likely hazardous. If it matches band 3 to band 6, record it as no, coal tar is not indicated. Remember, pack spray is there to confirm what you already think, not replace your judgment. If you are unsure, take clear photos and speak to your supervisor. Never guess. Now the litmus test. This helps confirm contamination in the subbase by checking the pH. Take a small sample of the subbase, mix it with clean water, and dip in the strip. The reaction takes about 10 seconds. Compare the strip color to the chart. If the reading is between 1 and 4 or between 10 and 14, record it as yes. This could indicate contamination. If the result is between 5 and 9, record it as no. Like pack spray, the litmus test should back up what you have already seen or smelled, not make the decision for you. If you would like more time to read the slide, pause here. If not, let's move on.
We've covered the full SWUK material classification protocol from start to finish. We began with what waste is and what it isn't. We looked at segregation. We covered how to classify using your senses first and tools like pack spray and litmus to confirm. We went through Vac Ex, asbestos and your role in each case. We talked about why this matters, protecting the environment, keeping people safe and staying compliant so we can keep using the protocol. Now remember this, you are the protocol. It starts with you. Every time you step on site, you have the power to keep Thames Water compliant, protect the environment and keep our work moving. Segregate the bituminous layer from the subbase, take clear photos, make it safe, make it right. Classify with confidence. Trust what you see, smell and touch. Use pack spray and litmus to back you up. Record it accurately. Know your role with Vac Ex. Only classify what you've handled. Follow the asbestos process without hesitation. Your actions decide our success. Good compliance keeps the protocol. Poor compliance risks losing it, and that would stop us in our tracks. We trust you. We back you. We are all in this together. So keep it simple. Dig, segregate, classify. Every job, every time. Thank you for your time and for doing your part.